Hey everybody, looks like we have some people coming in. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Maybe give me a thumbs up. I've also enabled the chat if you can let us know where you're joining from. All right, we're letting some people in now, starting to see people show up. Just getting ready to start. We'll give it a few moments. Again, yeah, just let us know where you're calling in from, what location. A good way to just kind of break the ice while we're getting started. I am flying solo today, so uh, appreciate your help and support here. We'll give it a couple moments. In the meantime, I'm going to put a few links in the chat if you guys can help check those out. First one is going to be a link to follow me on LinkedIn. If you go ahead and click on that, I'll send the materials as well as the script, the plugin script to those here. So that's the first link I'm putting in the chat. And then the second link is to our NetSuite Made Easy user group. I highly recommend joining. If you like these classes and some of the content that we put on here, you can get access to prior classes as well as tips and trick videos and different things there. So it's a great resource. So putting both those links in the chat, please go ahead and access those. All right, getting more people to join here, so we'll give it another minute or so. Again, if you're just joining, go ahead and put in the chat where you're joining from today, where you're calling in from. And also, this is your first time joining one of our classes, maybe put a 1 in the chat. And if you've been to a couple of our classes, maybe put the number of times you showed up to our classes. It's always good to see familiar names and faces. Thanks, Megan. All right. Again, we put two links in the chat for those of you joining. Please check those out. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'm going to share out the actual plugin script that we're going to walk through today. So go ahead and check that out, as well as a link to our NetSuite Made Easy user group. Great resource to get more access to content like this, tips and tricks, things like that. So if you could help support us there, that would be great. All right, so I'm sure more people will continue to join. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I am flying solo today. Can somebody just give me a thumbs up or let me know if you can see my screen and you can hear me okay? Perfect. Okay, thanks everybody. All right, so as mentioned, yeah, I'm flying solo today. Charles, my co-host or MC, wasn't able to make it, but we definitely wanted to keep to our masterclass schedule and courses. This is, believe it or not, our 10th one. This has been a lot of fun, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback that people have enjoyed these and found them helpful. So if you have any ideas or things that you want to see in future classes, we plan to continue to keep doing this. Your support is much appreciated. Go ahead and put some comments in the chat of things you'd like to see. We will launch a survey at the end as well. That would be helpful if you could help us fill that out. As we're going to get started here, if you do have any questions, there is a Q&A section of the webinar. So go ahead and put your questions in there as we go. And we'll look at those at the end here and take any questions at the end. We will look to keep this class a little shorter today. I have to hit the road for a weekend trip or vacation after this, so just a heads up there, but excited to get another class going, and we're going to jump right into it now. So like I said, purpose of today's class is it's our 10th class, and we're going to show how we can automate reclass entries in NetSuite using a GL plugin script. So first thing is confidentiality, right? And then second, our objective. Let's take a look at our objective for today and in these courses in general. So we work with a lot of clients and people who are NetSuite users, right? And some of the most common challenges or pain points, the most common thing that we hear is we don't know what we don't know. Like, how do I know? I'm not a NetSuite expert, right? So the point of this class is to show you what's possible, expose you to some great features and tools within NetSuite. So normally these classes touch on a variety of topics, save searches, reporting, how to automate things is key and big. So we really like to focus on automation. That's usually showing how you could do workflows, showing how you could do some scripts. So really the goal is just to get exposure and help people get the most out of the NetSuite environment. So that's really our objective of these courses. Agenda for today, we'll do a quick introduction about ScaleNorth and myself, and then we'll jump right into the actual webinar. So we'll get started. Introduction, Charles, like I said, who's usually my MC, he's out today. But with regards to myself, Dean Carazza, CPA, been with ScaleNorth since its inception, have about 14 years of experience in both public and private accounting. And the last 8 years have been in the NetSuite space. 6 of those have been here with ScaleNorth, coming up on 7 here soon, where I actually was in the delivery seat and led some of our most complex NetSuite implementations and integrations. I've probably touched over 20 NetSuite implementations in my career prior to moving into my current role. I have a lot of experience normally touching on most of the industries and verticals within NetSuite. So manufacturing, e-commerce, SaaS, professional services, you name it, we've gotten a lot of exposure and we've helped a lot of clients over the years. So that's a little bit about ourselves. And then a little bit about ScaleNorth if you meet the team. I would say some of our biggest differentiators, if you're looking at these KPIs here, is we're up to almost 300 people now. So we've been pretty explosive growth in the NetSuite space as a partner. I think what's driving that growth is the fact that we have seasoned professionals, right? These aren't people just out of college who's just taken a certification course. These are people with actual working experience in NetSuite. Most of them come from NetSuite. have at least 8.5 years on average experience in NetSuite. So very seasoned professionals within the NetSuite platform. And then we double that or double down on that with the fact that over half of our staff are CPAs. I'm a CPA, most of our staff are CPAs. We have found that that's just very helpful. If you can take the financial and the business understanding and then combine that with the technical and being certified and understanding NetSuite, our clients have really found that to be very helpful. So just wanted to get you to know a little bit more about ScaleNorth and how we operate. The services that we offer, pretty much anything NetSuite we can touch. So we can help, sell, we implement NetSuite. We also offer fractional accounting and outsourced accounting on NetSuite. We can help you support and get the most out of your NetSuite instance with, managed services or time and materials type arrangements. And then we have technical services. Our technical team is in-house. That's touching on complex things like integration, scripting, workflows, that type of stuff. So you name it, we could usually do it within NetSuite. That being said, want to touch on some of our technology partners. This is not the complete list, but kind of the more common ones that we see in the NetSuite space. So we're a Celigo Platinum partner. You might recognize some of these logos here. Usually as companies grow and scale, they look to fold these into their NetSuite instance at some point, and we can help you with that. So that's just a quick overview about ScaleNorth. We'll just throw a quick disclaimer before we get into the session here, right? The purpose of this is to be, demonstrative and educational. We do recommend if you're going to try out any of this stuff on your own or in your own NetSuite instance, highly recommend using a sandbox. And we just have to say we're not responsible for any actions taken that are not performed by ScaleNorth, right? The purpose here is more to show what's possible, give some ideas. If you have any questions or concerns or you'd like to learn more, we're happy to engage and see how we can help, but just a quick disclaimer there. All right, so that being said, we're going to jump into the class here today. So again, we're going to show the use case that we're going to use to guide us through today's demonstration is how we could reclass free items on an order from cost of goods sold to marketing expense. This is probably the most common use case that we've seen from our clients where they need to do a reclass. And it's the most common one. So we thought it was a good example to use for our demonstration today. So that being said, to work through the use case and solution that we're going to walk through, we break it down into 3 steps as you're building out a solution, right? You have your configuration, then you have your development, and then ultimately we have to, combine those together and then test the solution to make sure it works. So what we're going to walk through are those steps right now. And we'll go ahead and get started with the configuration. So we've identified the following 4 elements that will go into configuring this solution. So step 1, we're going to create a custom segment, which can be used by the GL plugin script to identify the reclass category. Step 2, once we've created a custom segment, we'll have to enable that to show up on our forms, on our transaction forms. So we'll do that. Step 3, we're going to create a custom record or a mapping record that will basically serve as the basis to know if the reclass category is X, what is the from account and to account that should be used by the GL plugin script to make that reclass. So you can kind of see high level bulleted out here. If the reclass category is $0 sales price, we want to reclass it from COGS to marketing. The from account is obviously cost of goods sold. The to account will become marketing expense. We're creating a custom record to hold that mapping that the script can look to perform the automation. And then step 4, we're going to create a workflow that will automate setting our custom segment on our transactions using a condition. So if we see a sales order line where the sales price is 0, go ahead and set our reclass category, and then the script can run and everything can run downstream after that workflow sets the field for us properly. So those are our 4 configuration points. And then the development will be just loading our script. We already have the script created. So we're going to load that up and we'll see that in action. And then testing, right? We should be able to test to see if the solution works. And that's kind of what we're going to cover here today. Again, if you have any questions as we're going through it, go ahead and put them in the Q&A section. and we'll look to address them at the end. All right, so let's get into our first step of configuration, which is creating a custom segment. I'm going to go ahead and switch screens here. Bear with me one sec. Okay. And can somebody help me out in the chat and just let me know if you see me sharing NetSuite? Say, yeah, we see NetSuite in the chat, if you don't mind. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So perfect. So we're going to get started here. So again, first step will be to create our custom segment. So let's go to customization. Let's see. And then let's see here. List records, custom segment, new. And then we're going to go ahead and give it a label. So this is going to be what we're going to call our reclass category. And then we're going to want to give this an ID. Now note, it's important to make sure our IDs will match with our script. So I'm going to actually open up our script really quick. Let's see. There. Okay, so if we bring up our script and Notepad, we can look at the ID here. So we can see right here, here is our segment ID. So this is the ID. I'm just going to take through the underscore, and that will serve as a basis for our ID. So we're going to paste that in here. All right. And then all this is fine. And then we are going to go ahead and check the GL impact checkbox because we do want this to have GL impact. All right. And then we can add a value. So the value, the first category we're going to create, we're just doing one today, is that when it's basically a $0 sales price, we want to reclass from COGS to marketing. And we'll hit add. Okay, then we can move on to the next tab. And here we're going to say we want to apply this custom segment to sales transactions and an item fulfillment. And then we can go ahead and hit save on this. And then once this finishes loading, we'll move on to our step 2, which is to configure our transaction forms. So the first form we want to look at is our sales order form. So we go to customization, forms, transaction forms. And then we'll go down to our sales order form. We want to look at our preferred form here that's checked. So we'll scroll down. Here's sales order. So here's our form for sales order. And go ahead and hit edit. Okay, and then once that loads, we want to go ahead and go to our sublist fields. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see here's our custom segment that we just created. We'll go ahead and check the box to show it. And I'm going to move it up so it shows up on our transaction. I'm going to move it up closer to the native class segment within NetSuite. So I'll just drag this up. There's a lot of fields in this demo account. So here we go. So I'll just put it right under class and hit save. And then we're going to do the same thing for our item fulfillment form. All right, and then let's find our item fulfillment form right here, item fulfillment. Yep, hit edit. Same thing, go to our sublist fields, scroll to the bottom, and see our reclass category, show it, and then let's just move it up closer to the class segment. Right there looks good, and then save. So while that finishes loading, we've completed our first two steps, right? We'll move on to our third step of configuration, which is to create our custom record for our mapping. So to do that, we're going to go to customization, list records, record types, and new. Okay. And then we'll want to go ahead and give this a name. So it is Reclass category account mapping. And then again, we'll want to give it an ID that matches with the script. So I'll open up the script here. And this is down a little bit till we get to the custom record. So let's see. Type custom record. So we reclass category right here. We can see the ID is here. So I'm going to copy just through the underscore. So I have the ID. Put that in. Okay. And then all this is fine. I'm just going to uncheck include name field. We don't really need that here. And then we'll go ahead and save this custom record. Okay. Now that that's saved, we can go navigate to the record that we just created in alphabetical order. We'll go to the R's. So here's our reclass category account mapping. And if we click on it, we can now start adding some fields to this custom record. So the first field that we'll add, we'll click the new field button. Give it a label. This is going to be our reclass category. And then again, we want the ID to match from our script. So I'm going to open up our script. And we can see down here in the custom record fields, here's the fields that the script's going to use. So the first one is reclass category. I'll take that ID just through the underscore. Paste that in here. And then the type is a list record. And then now we can actually reference the record that we created, which is our custom segment. So we can go to reclass category. So that looks good. Yep, should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Then we can add our next field. So I'm going to hit new field again. And this is going to be our from account. So we'll label that as from account. Again, I'll take the ID from the script. Here's the from account. So just through the underscore. All right, and then this is going to be a list record as well, but this time we're going to pull from our chart of accounts or account segment. So because we want users to be able to select which from account, we're just going to reference our account segment so that they can pick the GL account that they want for this mapping. So this will be as our from account. We should be good. Going to go ahead and hit save. And then we're going to add just our last field, which is the to account. So we'll hit new field. Put to account. Again, I'll take the ID from the script. Just through the underscore. Okay, and then again, this is going to be the same list record and then account. Okay, so this looks good. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So we have our custom record, we have our three fields. Now we can actually create a record for the mapping. So to do that, just going to scroll up here and go to more and view records. And you see now we have a button to go ahead and create a custom record with those fields. So I'm going to click on that. And now we see the fields that we added. So basically we can fill this out or complete this. So the reclass category, we only had one to start for our demonstration today. So I'll select that. The from account, we said we want to take from cost of goods sold. So there we go, cost of goods sold. And then the to account, when this category is present, we want to take it from cost of goods sold and put it to marketing. So we'll put the marketing account here. Marketing expense. Okay. And then we'll hit save. And then we basically just created a custom record, an actual record with a mapping. So we can go to list and we can see one of one. I'm going to go ahead and just customize the view so you see it a little bit. You can't really tell other than there was just a record here. So if we hit customize view in our results, we can just add in the fields that we created. So reclass category, from account, to account, and then save. And now you see it show up as an actual record with the fields that were populated. All right, so we basically have completed our first 3 configuration steps. And now we can go on to the last step, or the 4th step, which is to create a workflow. So let's do that. So to create a workflow, I'm going to go to customization, workflows, workflow new. Okay, and we can go ahead and give this a name. I'm going to call it SNMC10 set reclass category. The record type is going to be on, this is for transaction. And then we're going to set it specifically on a sales order because we're going to be looking at sales order lines that have $0 sales price. If we set the segment on the sales order, any item fulfillment that gets created from that sales order, it will carry over to that record. So that's why we're going to set it on a sales order. Okay. We can go ahead and execute it as an admin. We'll leave it in testing. We'll enable logging. This will be on create and or on view and update. Trigger type we'll do before record submit. And then the event types that we'll do is on create and edit. So I can click create, and then with holding control, I can multi-select. So I'm going to hit edit. So it's on create and edit. That should be good enough to get us started to create our workflow. So I'll hit save. All right. So it basically brings us into a basic workflow to start with our state. You double click into that, we can start filling this out and configuring it a little bit. So because we're going to want to look at the item sublist of a sales order, we're going to create a new sublist group. So we're going to click this button here. And then we're going to go ahead and have this be on before record submit. And then same thing we'll do on create and on edit. So holding control. That should be good. And then if we scroll down here, the sublist that we want to look at is our items. So our item sublist. And then we can go ahead and hit save. So it's now dropped in a sublist group. Next, we can add an action within the group. So if we click into this link here and we scroll down, we can create a new action. So we'll go ahead and do that. And the action that we're going to do is to set a field value. So hit set field value. And what we want to show here is basically we want to set the reclass category that we created. But we want to set it at the line level because we're going to be looking at sales order lines that have a $0 sales price. We don't want the header one. We want the one that's at the line. So we'll specify a line. And then what do we want to do? We want to set a value. So static. And then what's the selection going to be? It's going to be our reclass category. So this is what we want to do. We want to set a field value, but the beauty of this is leveraging a workflow based on a condition. I only want to set that value if a condition's met. So we're gonna give it a condition that when the sales price of a sales order line is 0, then set the value for this segment. So to set a condition, we can pop open this little window here. Hopefully you can see that. And what we're going to say is the field is if the rate line is equal to 0, that's the condition. So hit add, save, and now we can just start saving our way back. Save, save. Okay, so we've added our field action. We got our group. We can just rename our state so it's not something generic like state 1. We'll just give it a name of what this workflow state is doing. So this is basically set reclass category. And then we'll hit save. So we basically just created our workflow. Best thing to do now is to test it to see if it's working properly. So we'll do a quick pre-test. So to test our workflow, we got to throw it into view mode. So I'm going to go ahead and hit view. And then to test it out, we're going to go ahead and enter a sales order now to see if it's working. So transaction, sales, enter sales order. Okay. So the customer here, we're going to go ahead and put in a customer. All right. And then next we can put our items. So we'll put in some inventory items. So INV, bill. Okay. And we'll maybe ship 5 of these. All right. And that's in US1 location. And then we'll add another item. INV sum. So we'll add a server. And here to test it, maybe we're going to ship 2. And we're going to test it by putting a price of 0, because that's kind of the whole thing we're trying to test. If the sales price is 0, right? And then we'll go ahead and set the location to also match US1. Okay. So the idea here is you can see once we updated our forms, we can see our reclass category field showing up right here next to class. It's blank right now, which is good. The hope is that if our workflow works, it's going to look at this line, see that it's a $0 sales price, and then it's going to automatically fill in this field for us based on our workflow condition. So we'll go ahead and hit save on the sales order and see if that worked. Demo accounts are a little slow. There's a lot of stuff in these environments, so give it a moment here. Okay, so it's saved. And if we scroll down, we can see that it automatically filled in the segment for us, which is perfect. So off to a good start. Next, we'll just go ahead and approve this sales order since it's waiting for approval. So I'll go to transactions, sales, approve sales orders. And then 472 is right here. So I'll check the box and hit submit. All right. So we basically just finished our configuration, made sure the workflow is working. Now we can proceed to our development, which is basically loading our script. So to do that, I'm going to go to customization. Let's see, plugins, and then plugin implementations new. And it wants you to load a JavaScript file. So we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to click the file explorer here. And we can see here's our GL plugin script. It's no different than the Notepad file, just saved as a .js, creates a JavaScript file. So just select that one and then hit save. And then we can go ahead and click the Create Plugin Implementation button. All right, so it wants us to give this a name. So I'm going to go ahead and just name this is a GL plugin reclass. And then we'll give it an ID. I have an ID here. We'll just put it in. Okay. And then we'll set it to released. And then we can go ahead and hit save. All right, and then we see that we get a configure button. We can go ahead and click on configure. And then we're going to say which transaction type this applies to. We could specify multiple transactions. So what's kind of cool about this demonstration today is, in theory, if you have this deployed to multiple transaction types, as long as you can set a workflow to set the category of reclass that you want, this should be scalable and multi-applicable. But today we're just keeping it to a very specific example. So we'll apply it to an item fulfillment, since that's where our cost of goods sold transaction happens. So I'll select item fulfillment, and then we'll select all subsidiaries here, and we should be good. We'll go ahead and hit save. It then takes us to Manage Plugin Implementations page. So we can now see here under GL plugins, we have our GL plugin reclass showing up. So all we have to do is, if we want that to run, we just have to check the box to enable it and then hit save. All right, so we should be good now, right? We've done our configuration, we've updated our script. All that's really left to do now is test the solution and see if it's working. So to do our test, we should be able to just go back to our sales order that we had. It should be here in my recent records, so 472. Okay. And we can see that it's pending fulfillment, and we got our fulfill button. So I'm going to go ahead and fulfill this. Click on the fulfill button. All right. And then we can see here, as we mentioned, it's copying over our segment to the fulfillment, which is good sign. That's what we wanted. So if this looks good, we can go ahead and ship this. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. All right. And then our expectation now, hopefully, if it was working, is that if we look at the GL impact, it should have reclassed the cost of goods sold for our second line item here that had a 0 sales price to marketing expense. So we'll go to actions, view the GL impact. All right, and we can see here by looking at this more closely, it dropped in 2 reclass lines. So basically what the script did is that it saw that there was a line that had our segment, reclass segment, populated. It then went and looked up that segment in that custom record and said, when you see this populated, look up what the from account and the to account should be to perform the reclass. So it's crediting from cost of goods sold, and it's debiting to marketing expense. So this looks to be working properly based on the way we set this up. Another great benefit of this is, think about when you reclass, normally people are doing separate, not non-linked journal entries. This is actually on the source transaction. So I didn't have to create a journal entry to move this from one account to another. It just dropped in the reclass lines on the source transaction. So that's one benefit of a reclass or a GL plugin like this. So that looks to be working properly. We can also, because we leveraged a custom segment to help identify the reclass, we can actually view that in a report as a slicer since it was a custom segment. So if we go to reports, financial, we can actually run an income statement. And in our slicers here, in our column slicers, if we click the drop down, you see that we have our reclass category here. So I can click on that and hit refresh. So we can see the only time that we expect that to be used is in the, for marketing. So if we scroll down right here, we can see we have $9,000 in marketing expense that was tagged to this segment. And if we wanted to see, well, what are all the transactions that got reclassed in the period, we can drill into this and basically see, here's the item fulfillment that was driving that reclass. And then you can drill back and basically look at the GL impact like we did here on the item fulfillment. So I know that was a lot to cover. Hopefully this is cool. I think it displayed a lot of different concepts. Maybe is a little technical, but I think the goal, like we said at the beginning of the class, is sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Maybe you never even heard of a GL plugin, right? Reclass. Maybe you didn't know that you can use custom records and things like that and point them to scripts to do lookups and things like that. So you kind of get to see a solution from start to finish, and hopefully being able to watch it here today. Also, we'll be sharing the materials with the screenshots and step-by-step instructions. So definitely check out those links that we posted in the chat. But hopefully you found this helpful here today. That kind of concludes the use case and demonstration. So I will go ahead and head over to the Q&A section now. So let me see if I can do that. Stop share. All right, it looks like we have a couple questions. What if the price, anonymous attendee, what if the price has changed? Is it going to affect our reclass? I think as long as the price is changed before the fulfillment's created, you'd be okay. It's based on the sales price on the sales order line. Anytime that sales order is edited or saved, the workflow will look for that condition to be true. So I think you should be okay. But if you don't fix it before you make the fulfillment, then that would probably be too late at that point. Or if the original doc has been deleted. So I think we've cleared that one. If the original doc's been deleted, again, it's going to look for item fulfillment transactions that have that segment populated. So if you delete it, it's never going to show up. But if you do create an item fulfillment where it does have the segment populated, that will be when the GL plugin runs to reclassify it. Okay, this is the first time I've seen what your company does. Charles invited me for demo purposes. Probably missed something in the presentation. You showed the customization script. This is an anonymous attendee too. Will your client have access to that script, or will we have to go to you every time the script needs to be modified like you just did? Yeah, so again, the goal of today's class was demonstration purposes to show you what's possible. Again, I will share the script if you click on the link in the chat. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'll be sharing out the script if you want it. The goal is for educational purposes, right? If you want to put that in a sandbox, test it out, and get familiar with it, that's kind of the goal, is to be collaborative and learning here. If you actually want to use it and you have any challenges with it, or you want to enhance on top of it, yeah, exactly. We're happy to help, could take a look at it, and ultimately we can engage if it makes sense. But really the goal here is to help show people what's possible, and really just try to add value, be helpful. If you got questions, concerns, you can always email us. I always offer my calendar. It's included in this link as well if you want to grab some time to chat through things. Real goal and spirit of this is to be helpful. So hopefully that answers those. Caleb, is the pre-written script available for download? It is. Again, I'll be providing it if you go ahead and click on the link that was pasted in the chat. Cicely, how would you approach a situation where it could be different credit and debit accounts? So the goal of what we showed here, again, is more of what was possible. You can leverage that as you see fit, right? We came up with a category called when the sales price is zero, I know that I want my from account to be cost of goods sold and my to account to be marketing. If you have another scenario or use case where you know the condition, hey, if this, then I want to reclass from this to this, you can basically still follow the principles and the steps that we showed here today, and it's still going to work. You can adopt this to your own use cases too. This is just the most common reclass use case that we've seen, but there's probably a handful of others, or you might have some that's specific or unique to your business. So again, would be happy to chat or talk through that with you if you have some examples or use cases in mind you'd want to look at. But this is more of a get the juices flowing, show you what's possible, start thinking critically, how would we do that? Or maybe I can take what I learned here today and tweak it a bit. Yeah, that's kind of the spirit and hope of all this. So hopefully that helps. Cicely, can you share the link of the recording of this session? Jorge, yeah, we will. Again, the second link that I put in the chat was to our NetSuite Made Easy group. If you join that group, we post all of the materials on that LinkedIn group. So please definitely help support us and join that group. Honey, so I would like to clarify whether it is possible to classify a portion of the sales amount as marketing expense. The sales price of $100 includes a $10 component that was allocated for marketing purposes. Can we reclass this $10 portion from the sales revenue to marketing expense? Honey, that sounds like that could be a little bit more elaborate, right? I can't say it's not possible. It probably requires some looking at and maybe talking through to make sure we understand the requirement and the use case properly. But if we can build that logical statement into our workflow, kind of where we said if sales price is zero, then set the field. We might be able to do that with certain formula fields and formula stuff within the workflow. So can't say for sure just at a high level here, but something we'd be happy to explore with you if you want to grab some time with me or send a follow-up email. Megan, Phoenix, do you have recordings available for your past masterclasses? Yes, please do join our NetSuite Made Easy group that was posted in the chat. Can somebody confirm that they saw the links earlier? I did post them earlier in the chat. You may have to scroll back up. But if you join that, our LinkedIn group, we post all the prior recordings and session materials there. Caleb, you don't see anything in the chat. All right, let me try again. So I'm gonna put it says to everybody, so hopefully this works. I just posted a link. That first link that I just posted right now is if you want the script file, go ahead and click on that link, and then I will make sure to get that over to you. And then the second link that I'm gonna post now is to our NetSuite Made Easy user group. This is where you can see all the past materials and recordings. So are you guys able to see those two links that I just posted? Somebody let me know. Yes, perfect. Okay. All right. Thanks, Megan. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Let's see. Thanks. Okay. I think that was most of the questions. Any other questions? Go ahead and put them in the chat, or if anybody wants to come off mute and ask a question. While we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and launch a survey as well that will remain open until we conclude here. Again, we do this for free, guys, right? This is meant to be helpful. So if you could help us with the survey and give us some feedback, it really just helps us. I'm going to go ahead and launch that now. So hopefully you see that. Please help us complete the survey. And then if you enjoyed today's class, I think you're gonna enjoy next month's class. I'm pretty excited. We're gonna show how to start using AI in NetSuite. So we're gonna show how you can create your own AI prompt in NetSuite, and we're even gonna show how you can create your own AI chatbot and put it on your home dashboard in NetSuite. So if you want to learn that and check that out, please make sure to register and attend for next month's class. I'm going to keep the survey open for a little bit longer, but any questions, any other questions that I could help answer while we're here today as we look to conclude? Okay, any other questions, guys? Thank you for showing up today. I hope you found today's class helpful. We really enjoy doing these. Give us some feedback if you don't mind. If you thought today's class was helpful, maybe just put an emoji in the chat or just give us some love in the chat. But yeah, really appreciate you taking time on a Friday to hang with us and learn more about NetSuite. Okay, I don't think I see any more questions in the chat. And it looks like we've got some people completing the survey, so thank you for your help with that. And we will look to wrap here. So thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. Please, again, join us for our next class. I think next month's going to be a real fun class on AI. And thanks so much, everybody. Take care.